Hello, so today we're going to talk about a very special health bar that I created that I have not seen done anywhere else except for the place I stole it from, which is Kingdom Hearts. I haven't seen a tutorial for Game Maker Studio on this. I tried to find one online for the longest time, couldn't find one, so I eventually had to figure it out. So this is what you're going to watch today. The best thing about this health bar is that it will go through different layers. So if I have my HP set at 80 and it has 4 different layers, it will cycle through all of those. If it's at 100, it will add on another full layer. And you just set all those different colors beforehand so that, whatever HP you want it to be at, it will show that layer. So this is really great for like boss health and enemy health if you want to show that they're having a change and impact in the health that they use. I honestly think this is probably the best enemy health system that I've ever seen implemented in a game. The reason is you get this instant feeling of progression and satisfaction every single time you loot through one of these different colors, and you really feel like you're making progress. So I want to go over how to do that, and it is more advanced. So keep that in mind as you start. You're going to be seeing for loops, you're going to be seeing switch statements, you're going to be seeing a lot of variables and things like that. I'd say it's probably comparable to our quarter heart piece video if you watched that one. So good luck with it if you wanted to attempt it. I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, if you're just getting started on these health videos that I'm doing, you don't need to do any of the previous videos, but I'll show you what I've got here just so you're aware. I've got an object called Ode Health that I'm using. You can do this in your player character if you'd want. Or in your game object. I have the HP set at, let's set this at back down to 80. I have my HP equal to max HP. I've got my display HP equal to HP. The display HP is what we use to show the gradual progression of the health as it lowers instead of just cutting out everything all at once. And that's done with this. Display HP equals lerp, display HP, HP 0.1. And then I've got some a global left down and a global right pressed, and those just decrease the health for me. And then a key press R, which is room restart. So just so you know what I'm working with here, and I'm going to be adding in some sprites that I've created already, but I'll show you how I made them just so you're aware of how it's done. All right, and we're getting started. Okay, so for this health bar, we have a little more freedom with how we're going to approach this with our sprite. First thing I want to do is create how big I want this to be. So I'm gonna pull this up here, and let's just say I want this to be 100, and I'm gonna make the y coordinate let's say like 250, and then maybe 400 and 300, and then outline is false. So we're using our draw rectangle function to make this whole thing work. Let's just take a look and see what that looks like. So that draws it right there. So I need to make it a little bit lower down. Okay, I think that's a pretty good spot for it. Now what I'm going to do is draw a sprite for it. So we have 100 and 400. Let's create a sprite, create sprite. I'm just gonna call this S overlay. And let's see, what am I, gotta get rid of some of these, sorry. That's 300 between that and 50 between that, so. That's not what I wanted. There we go. All right, let's just put some color we don't want. And then if I remember Kingdom Hearts correctly, I think they had like a green border. So let's just add a green border here. Let's go 310 by 60. Edit image, let's go with a nice green. Okay, I've got my sprite here. The only thing I need to do now is set my origin for the sprite at the very top left, where we're going to be drawing our rectangle. So like give it a little bit of breathing room just in case. Okay, so my sprite is made. So let's draw the sprite on top of that. Our subimage is 0. Then we got our x and our y, which is 100 and 290. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to create some variables. So let's do our, let's do our x and our y. $100 var y equals 290. That way we at least have a reference point so we can change things around if we want to move the location at any point, and we don't have to keep typing in those same two also, or remembering where they were, having to scroll up and down and look for them. That is not right. Okay. So that should draw everything the way we want it. Let's just take a look, make sure everything's working. Okay, Healthbar is getting drawn perfectly, exactly the way we want it. Let's make some more variables. In case we want to scale this at any point, let's do var scalar, in case we want to change the size. And let's equal to 1. The reason we would do that is if we want to shrink this at any point, we can change the scalar, or let's just call it scale. We can change the scale and it would shrink the entire size of the HP bar. That will make everything work a lot better for us. First, let me just show you how this works naturally. So what we would do is we take our length. What we're adjusting is going to be our length of the rectangle, right? So let's take the length of our rectangle. Right now the length of the rectangle is, I think we said 300. Yeah, because it's 100, it says 300 and then 50. So 300 would be our max HP, and then 50 would be our normal HP. So we would do 400, or sorry, we would do XX plus, what's our normal HP, plus display HP. And our Y can stay the same, that's fine. So what does that do? As we decrease our HP, we will lower this. Of course, you notice it doesn't fill up the whole thing, and that's perfectly fine. We'll get to that soon. But that's just how it works in general. Let's create some variables. So there's a couple things we want to do here. The first one we want to do is, let's say how much HP we want per bar. So line max is going to be, let's say we want 20 HP per color. So that'll be 20, and I'm just going to multiply that by the scale. That way that shifts with the rest of it. And that'll be our line max, I'll call it line max HP. Next variable we want to do is our scaled HP. So this right here is telling us how much HP we want in it. This is going to tell us how much HP we actually have. So scaled HP equals display HP times, let's add our scale again. Okay, next we want to set up some color variables. We're not actually going to add anything to them yet, but we're just going to set them up right now so we can use them later. Bar color 2. Next we've got this variable we're going to use called num lines active equals, I'm just going to type it out and explain it, scaled HP div line max HP. So this variable num lines active, if you think about our health bar, it's going to draw a health bar of 20, and then it's going to draw that, and then it's going to draw another bar over that, and it's going to draw another bar over that. And it's going to keep doing that for every 20 health until we hit our max health or what our current HP is at. So what we're doing here is we're basically dividing that number by how much is in our line max HP. So that's 20. So that's taking our full amount. Let's say we have 70 health. It'll give us 3 full bars. So 20 goes into 70 3 times with 10 left over. So this is going to create 3 full bars. This is going to be for our back bars. So we can draw our main one up front. The next one, this is going to be where all of our magic happens when we're creating our rectangles. So I'm basically just going to copy this from how I did it before because there's a lot going on, and I will explain it after it's written. So this health length is what we're going to be using for what we would normally use for our display HP. That's what we've got here. We want to do the minimum because this is going to be in the very front. We want a minimum of our scaled HP minus the num lines active. So like, let's say we had 70 HP with that example again. It'll subtract our 3 num lines active, which is going to be how many lines we have before that. So it'll subtract 60, so we have 10 HP left, times our line max HP, which is 20. So it will give us our bar, or if it's not a full bar, it will just do our line max HP, which is 20. Or if it is a full bar, sorry. So that's our health length. Now, let's just set up our rectangles to use some of this information. So what we want to do, let's draw a rectangle color because we're going to need this in a little bit. And we're going to create a for loop. Remember, press F4 to bring up the code snippets if you are uncomfortable writing the syntax, or if you just want to make sure you don't create mistakes, which happens all the time. So it's always good to do that if you can. So first we're going to draw the colors behind. So let's go num lines active. That's what we're using because we're drawing however many lines are behind it, because we want it to show the main color, but we also want to show behind it the color that's about to hit. So num lines active, and then let's see, we've got our draw rectangle, because right now we're going to draw our back rectangle. So this is going to be draw colors behind. Let's just make a note here. Draw sprites, which this isn't actually drawing the sprites. I'm going to comment this out right now, but I want to remember our measurements or where that's located, so that's why I'm keeping it there for right now. I'll take it out in a little bit. So we have a draw rectangle color. Our XX and YY can stay the same because we're drawing it in the same spot. But with our add, instead of adding our display HP, which is going to keep going on and on and on, we only want to do our line max HP. And then for our Y, let's just make it let's see, what was it, 50? Did I have it as 50 as our difference? And yeah, so let's just do plus 50. Okay. Now we got to add in our colors. If you look here, we've got 4 colors we've got to put in. Let's just do sea green over and over again. And outline false, that is correct. Whoops, get rid of that extra line. Okay, so this is going to be our back colors. So what we want to do is draw our front colors now. So let's just take this and copy it and paste it. But instead of numLines active, what we want to have here is numLines active plus 1. And the reason for that is our numLines, it's going to give us, let's look at this. It's going to give us our scaled HP div line max HP, but it's going to stop it before, like for example, if we have 70 health in that example, we're creating 3 bars, but there's still more on top of that. So that's why we're doing plus 1. Draw rectangle color, and this is going to draw a partial bar, by the way. So draw rectangle color, let's do XXYY, that's correct. XX plus health length is what I have here. YY plus 50, that's right. And then, yep, that looks good. Okay, so this should, for the most part, will, I think, work. Except it's all green. So we're not really seeing any change right now, because what's happening is it's showing a green color on the front, and then it's behind it is another green color. So we're not really seeing any change, even though you will see it at the very end. Now that we're on our very last bar. So we got to add some colors in there. But this is doing what we want it to do. So let's add some colors. First off, I think what I'm going to do is give these colors some real colors. I'm just going to do some colors I've already made. I'll be right back. Okay, if you're just following along for this video, you haven't looked at the other ones, I previously made a green and red color. So I put those here, even though I've already defined them up top. If you were watching a previous video, then you've already got those in here. So it's called green and called red. And the way this function works, you basically just use it to make color RGB, and then you would go in here if you, again, if you're just following along with this, look at a color you like. So I'll just go in here. Let's say I really like this color for my health bar. I'm gonna click on this, and this gives me my RGB, red, green, blue, 25, 123, 48. And so those are the exact numbers that you plug in up here to get the color that you want. You can also use the built-in game maker colors. So like C green will work fine for this too. It's just I want to make some new colors because I do not like the built-in colors. I think they're fairly ugly. So that's what's going on there. So now we're going to be doing something really fun for the color changing. We're going to be using a switch statement. So if you press F4, bring up your code snippets, hit switch. You'll see a couple things here. If you're used to writing on your own, you probably don't recall this default, because I certainly did not. Maybe that's normal code, but I'm not familiar with it. What it does is that is what it defaults to. If it doesn't fit any of these, it'll fit in this. So it's always good to have this here. But what we're going to do is make the default color our 0 color, basically. So we're not going to write a case statement for 0. We're just going to do our default. If you've never used a switch statement before, what it does is we'll take an expression. So for example, our expression that we want is numLines active. What that's going to do is tell us what line we're on. So if it's line 0, do this. If it's line 1, do this. And it'll tell me how many lines it's drawing in that for loop. So if we've got that 70 health, for example, there's 20 line health per bar, right? So there's going to be 3 bars with a partial bar on the third one or the fourth one. So this will tell me what is our if we're on 4, what are we drawing? What color? If we're on 3, what color are we drawing? If we're on 2, what color are we drawing? So it's only going to be doing 2 colors at a time, and that's really important. So it's not actually drawing every single different color at the same time. We're only going to be giving it 2 colors. We're going to be giving it the color that you see up front and the color that you see in the back. So that's why we have bar color 1 and bar color 2, which we could also call this bar color back. I'm just going to call it bar color B and bar color. No, I'm going to call it front and back, because that will be easier to read down the road. And like I said, the default is going to be our 0 case. So what we do here, let's just set our default color, bar color front equals, we're just going to do a, what's our 0 one? The very last one we want to do is going to be our call red. So let's just do call red. Okay, so now let's take that and we want to create some cases. So case 1, 2. Okay, so we're going to have basically HP 0 through 20. This is HP 20 through 40, 40 through 60, 60 through 80, 80 through 100, 100 through 120, if this is how we want to do it. So for our code, what we're going to do is, let's just take something like this, put this here. So in case 1, we're going to be seeing this as our back color, because if you can imagine our health bar, you have the green in front and it's wiping down, and behind it you see the color that's coming next. So if it's red, you're going to see nothing coming behind it, which is why we're not adding a back color here. And there's not anything there to draw on. But behind this color, we want to show the next color that's coming up, which is going to be the default. So let's make that see red. And then for our front color, what color do we want to come right before red? I think I'm going to go with a green. I think that's what they do in Kingdom Hearts. It's like green, or I could do a yellow too. That'd be a good one. Let's do a yellow. Okay, so we've got a yellow color in here now. So that's the one I just made here. If you're following along exactly, that's the color I chose. So let's make that next one call yellow. Did I spell that wrong? Yes, I did, because I didn't add any of these here. There we go. Yeah, it's giving me a hard time before. Okay, so let's do this. We're going to add our code here. Okay, so here we have, for our back color, we're going to be putting yellow because the front of case 1 is going to be the back of case 2. So our front color is going to be next. Let's go with a green. And then this is going to be green. And after green, I think we're going to go with blue. Blue. After blue, I think we're going to go with that fuchsia color, right? Yeah, fuchsia. I can never remember how to spell that. After fuchsia, I think I'm going to go with a, what do I want? I don't have any more custom colors, so I think I'm just going to go with C white and be boring. Okay, so our colors have changed. Now we have to implement them in here. So this is our colors behind. So let's change that to bar color back. And this one's bar color front, because we're in the front now. And I think for the most part, we should be able to get this to work. Okay, it is working just fine. Of course, the problem is it is way too small. Let's have it fill up our whole bar. That is where the scale comes in handy. Let's change that to 8. I know you're wondering, why did we put that scale in there? Let's change that to 16. A little bit too much. Let's try 15. Okay, there we go. And that is a beauty, but we're only going up to blue, so let's add in a little bit more health. Let's go up to like 120. Now, is that going to make our HP bar go way off? Okay, it made something go way off. Okay, that took me way too long to figure out, but I figured out what the problem was. It's because my HP was going further than my case numbers allowed. But let's set up some additional layers. Let's do sea gray. If you're American, make sure you do sea gray because with an A, because I don't think it recognizes sea gray with an E. If you're in Europe, I think, or England or the United Kingdom, then I think you have to use an E. But I'm gonna do my gray, and then the last one I'm just gonna do sea black. And let's take a look. Let's try 120. That works just great. Let's try 180. Okay, that was too much. 179. Still too much. 159. Okay, that took us all the way up to black. Is that okay? Yeah, so it does about 20 per bar. So that's what we got. Goes through all the different health bars. If you really wanted to make it like Kingdom Hearts, let's just set this at 120 for right now. What we could do is make something that like a for loop that draws different. Let's see, draw. I'll get rid of this, by the way. Draw indicator of bars left. So that's going to be another for loop. And we'll say num lines active +1. And then let's just draw some tiny little bars. And where do I want to draw them? Let me just check and see. I think I want to draw them down here. So that's going to be right at the bottom of our rectangle that we're drawing, which we have as YY +50. So I'm going to do draw rectangle. I'm going to call this YY plus, sorry, this is X first. So I'm going to maybe do 130 YY +50. And this is only a few pixels wide, so let's do 140 and YY plus, make a little rectangle maybe. I think that's how they do it in the game. So 65, outline false, and then I gotta make sure I give it a color. Draw, set, color. Let's just go see green, why not? Maybe I'll do my built-in color green. My colored greens. And it's going to be changing every single time, right? So we want it to go over, what is it, 10 pixels? So plus I times, let's just say 15. So we have a little buffer in between. And what am I missing? I did that wrong. Okay. I think that should draw some little bars where we want them. Let's just see how that looks. Okay, they are all connected. They're connected because I put that on the wrong one. This is supposed to be here. Now that should work a little bit better. Okay, that did it. So we've got our little bars here. Let me give them actually like a little black outline too, now that I'm looking at this. So let's change this to draw set color. Actually, I want this to come before, so put that there, get rid of that. Color C. C black, And we want this to have a 1 pixel offset. So let's just say -1 on the left, +1 on the right, -1 on the Y, +1 on the Y. And let's see if that works. Okay. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're at the 7th bar, 6th bar, 5th bar, 4th bar, 3rd bar, 2nd bar, 1 bar. Oh, we probably actually want to have just numlines active. Okay, and that will show us all of our bars. Perfect. That is a flawless system. It is working so well. I actually didn't try out these little things beforehand, so I'm glad they worked. The one thing is, obviously, the colors are not changing on those. If you did want the colors to change, I don't know if you'd be able to do it in a switch statement because I'm not aware of how to modify the color. I don't know. There's probably a way to do it, but I think I'm just going to stick with what I've got right here. If you guys want to try that out, that'll be a fun little challenge. But I now have a working Kingdom Hearts style health bar that took me so long to do. You guys have no idea. There's probably better people who could have done this in a lot faster. But I'm really proud of it because I have never made something like this before. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you got a lot out of that. We've learned a lot. Obviously, my hearts are not going down right now because my health is way over what was there. But good luck on all of your projects. If you have any questions on how this works or how to implement it or anything else, be sure to leave it in the comments. Thanks a lot.